What's up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. I'm here again with the great Jay Alter from ESPN. We're coming fresh off of an epic week down right side out of DC at the Championship Series, the first ever Women's Lacrosse League Championship Series, where Jay was in the booth and I was on the field. As you can see, we took home the first ever WLL title at the Boston Guard. But we're here to break it down, and I cannot wait to chat with you, Jay.
Charlotte, we set this up as it was going to be a historic week. I had big expectations, right? I knew the players, the talent that the league had put together. It blew away my expectations. The games were incredible, the crowds were unreal, and your two battles in particular with the New York Charging team were epic. That was the best of the best. There are so many different styles of this sport, like we touched on in our preview show, and I think this week proved why sixes is truly the way this sport is going to hit a totally different trajectory. The speed, the talent. I just thought it was an absolutely epic week. Obviously, you taking it home, it was like getting a call. I don't know if you're into sports movies, but The Sandlot, where Benny the Jet steals home and points to the announcer booth. That was like when you took home the first ever WLL Championship Series title. And Charlotte, we're a little worried for you in the Guard because the first game of the round robin, you guys lost. So I'm walking out of there like, oh man, like, is Charlotte even going to make it out of round robin play? And you guys turn around and win 3 in a row. How did you guys find a way to just improve as the week went on? Because I feel like out of the 4 teams, it was the Boston Guard that got better every time they stepped onto the field.
We did get better every time we stepped on the field. And that was a goal of ours coming into this and with our coaching staff. And our coaching staff did a phenomenal job. I can't say enough about Lori DeLuca and Tracy Sullivan. We learned so much from them about the discipline of sixes, about what it takes to come together as a team. When you form as a team and you're not together in person, you're spread across the country, and you got to figure out a way to come together, learn about each other, learn what each other needs, so that when you do meet in person and you hit the field for that first practice, you feel like you've already scratched the surface and you've gotten a little bit closer towards your goal, which is going out and winning that first game. And like you mentioned, we lost to the Palms by 1. Credit to that team. What an amazing and talented group of individuals and a great coaching staff as well. But the other 2 teams in the league as well, the Maryland Charm and the New York Charging, like you mentioned, every single roster was absolutely stacked. And we mentioned this last week when we talked. Every single roster was stacked because these rosters are smaller. There are 12 players on each of these teams with 2 coaches, and every single roster had the best players in the world at every position. And we're extremely well coached. So we knew every game was going to be an up and back battle. It was going to come down to the wire. But we knew that as long as we stayed true to our process as a team and focused on what we needed to do each day to get better on the things that we wanted to change from the day before, everything else was going to work out. And credit to our leaders and our coaches, my co-captain, Andy Aldave, who was our grounding force all week. It was just an unbelievable moment of celebration, but also culmination of all the sacrifice that this team at the Boston Guard had put forth, wanting to establish that culture of this team and show the world what we wanted this organization to look like and represent. And of course, having a standard of success and winning championships, but being the best team that we could be, and celebrating each other, supporting each other. Because like you mentioned, sixes is back and forth. There are highs and there are lows. And in those lows, you've got to figure out how to respond. And we did that because of the way that we progressed and the way that we bought in towards our team.
It was such an electric atmosphere that the St. James created. I thought it was the perfect venue. And when you were on the field, I feel like every game you played was sold out with little girls screaming your name. They've got the number 8 jersey on. The scenes of you signing autographs after these games, it was like Beatles mania when they first came to the United States. Caitlin Clark was the analogy people kept making. And I think it's fitting because in a sport where there's so much growth, you do need a face, right? And right now, look at that, Charlotte. Like, when you're in that moment, what is that like?
It was really special. I mean, obviously, none of this, this WLL or the event that we had in the championship series, none of that happens without everybody behind the scenes. And that's Paul and Mike Rabel. It's Rachel Jateco. It's Courtney Ellis, Grace Hamilton. There are thousands of people behind the scenes that put in the work to set something like that up. An organization that has worked around the clock to give us as women, as female athletes, a chance to be on this stage and show the world what we can do on this stage. And a credit to all the sponsors and the partners who believed in us as well, especially Maybelline, who was a huge sponsor of ours coming into this event. And we just felt that they really believed in us as players. And we saw the crowds show up. We saw and heard them. We heard them even before we ran out of the tunnel to go start a game or to go warm up. And you just feel that sense of belief in the younger generations as well. It's not just us as the professionals out there competing for championships. It goes so much deeper than that. It's beyond the field that we saw in the St. James. It's to the fields that everyone's playing on today, tomorrow, the rest of the spring into the summer, and for years to come, because now the goal is much greater. It's bigger. These girls have bigger goals. Their sights are set on doing this for a living, and being the best pro athlete at their sport. I mean, it's what you dream of when you start to play lacrosse and you pick up a stick and you fall in love with the sport, and you just wonder where it could possibly take you. And never in our wildest dreams would we have thought we would stroll up to the St. James and be at a venue like that with a crowd like that, playing for an organization like the WLL, representing these four cities that really got behind us all week long. We felt not only the fans in person, but we felt them back home in Boston cheering us on, not just lacrosse fans, but sports fans around the world. And of course, that doesn't come without, the growth and the belief and the will to push this sport to where it is today, from everybody behind the scenes. And we feel the luckiest because we got to go out there and do what we love with our teammates. And we got to do it in front of these fans who were just as excited as we were running out of that tunnel.
I think the big point with that is the future of the sport is in such good hands. You guys are setting a foundation. You're bringing it to a new level. I said it a couple times during our ESPN broadcast. I really do feel like this is a new era in the sport of women's lacrosse. But I'm already excited for the next era. When these 8, 9, 10-year-old girls that were in the stands get inspired by you and all the other WLL players, and they can take the sport further to another level. It makes me think, I think the sport of lacrosse is on a very similar trajectory to U.S. women's soccer in the early 90s. And, Mia Hamm, right? And Brandy Chastain and all those great players, right? Like, I feel like that's where you guys are right now. And the WLL, I think, could be that 1991 moment where, boom, U.S. women's soccer just explodes. And then you see all the talent that comes in through the 2000s that were inspired by that team. I just think that's what is really cool about the sport, because I think I said it going off the air. You guys won the first ever championship. That was the scene we saw. It was amazing. And yet it just felt like the beginning. We were saying so long from DC, but it feels like the first chapter in this epic news story of professional women's lacrosse.
I couldn't have said it better. I mean, the standard is now set, and the bar is now very clear. And it shows what female professional lacrosse players should look like and should emulate, and what they deserve, and the support that they can have, and the belief from others that they can gain. And we couldn't be more honored and grateful to be participating in this league and in this moment in time, this historical moment in time in our sport, because it doesn't happen without all the players that we looked up to when we were those 8, 9, 10-year-olds first starting out, and all the players that we have played with prior who may not be playing currently, but they're still impacting the game in so many ways, whether they're coaching or they're leading in their own way, or they're just supporting. And to feel that support from other generations of players, it's been amazing. You saw Taylor Cummings, the head coach of the Maryland Charm. She did an unbelievable job leading that group, now on the other side of her playing career, but one of, if not the greatest player of all time. We had Dana Doby in the stands supporting with her Loyola Greyhounds. She is the ultimate pioneer for the game of women's lacrosse, and we would not be here and we would not be able to display sixes lacrosse if it weren't for Dana Doby. And just two of the names that I've looked up to for I can't even remember how many years, and I still watch their highlight tape and I still study the things that they did on the field, and so many others, but we would not be here without them. And I can't believe, the week is over, but like you mentioned, it feels like there's just so much more to come. There's so much more to tap into in the world of women's professional lacrosse, and I really think this is just the beginning.
By the way, I'm just noticing that you're wearing the net around your
Of
neck.
course,
That
Jay.
is
What?
so epic. Where's the trophy? Like, that trophy was awesome. Who keeps the trophy?
That trophy has seen better days today, but we had some fun celebrating with the trophy. It was really special, honestly, to get to celebrate as a team after that moment. We were on the field, and you saw the champagne shower and the trophy presentation. And then we went to the locker room and had they're right there, head coach Lori DeLuca, drinking champagne out of the trophy. It was an unbelievable memory in that locker room, and something that we'll hold very close to our hearts as a group. Something that we just shared with each other, and you remember the plays on the field throughout the championship game, but more importantly, that's the stuff right there that you really look back on and you think, wow, I was very lucky to be a part of that. But the trophy will live on. But we're lucky we got to celebrate with it, and of course we have our nets. Of course we have them nice and close to us. It was just yesterday, so we're not ready to take them off quite yet.
And that's the crazy thing. This has been such a whirlwind. You mentioned the connection to Boston, and I think maybe the championship pedigree that took over with your team. So many former Boston College Eagles that have won national championships. I should mention I am sitting in the home of Boston College, Conti Forum. I got a basketball game
Yeah.
tonight for ESPN, and I think the connection to the city is so strong for all the teams. You mentioned Taylor Cummings and the Terps that played for the Maryland Charm. And then with California, you had that North Carolina connection. New York, who you beat in the championship, Northwestern, and Syracuse. I think when we talked about the preview, it was who can shed that college skin and bond. I actually take that away. I think it has to remain a part of you. And ultimately, I think that was really driving your team is, hey, we've been in these big moments before and we've found a way.
I mean, I completely agree. And I think on the flip side of it, we had a makeup of a few Boston College players, some Notre Dame players, and we had a couple of other schools sprinkled in there. But we ultimately decided, what it was going to take to be successful was buying into our team culture and understanding that if we follow our leaders and we follow our coaches and we trust each other and respect each other and are willing to understand what each other needs in those low moments, we're going to be able to do some pretty special things. And you mentioned, the championship caliber of play and the players that have been in moments like that. I think about someone like Cassidy Weeks and Rachel Hall, two of the biggest winners on a stage like that, and to turn back and see them in a Boston Guard jersey lining up next to them, you just have this overwhelming sense of calmness because that those two and everybody else on our roster, honestly, because Andy, I mentioned as a leader and a captain of this team, and Jackie Wolak and Madison Ahern and Casey Choma, and Hannah Dorney, who had an unbelievable defensive performance in that game. There were just so many players with that type of experience. And when you bring all those minds in the same room and they're willing to do whatever it takes, that's a pretty tough group to stop. And I'm so inspired by them. And I just wish we had more moments together. We were talking today as a group and we were like, gosh, it's just crazy that it's over and we miss each other so much. Like, win or lose, we were going to be sad on the way home because we didn't want to leave each other. Which is really unique and it's very rare. I told the team the night before the championship, like, it is rare to feel that way with a group of people, especially when we had only been together for, we only known our teams for a month, and then we had been together for, obviously that week and a half down right outside of DC, but it was very special. And I can't believe, I can believe that it ended in a championship, but it's just so special to see players like that shine on the biggest of stages. And a credit to the New York Charging. They had an unbelievable roster with insane firepower. And I watch in awe of their talent as well. And I learn from them every day in this sport. But they were a phenomenal team. And I cannot wait to watch them continue to build that organization.
I'm glad you brought up New York because that's exactly where I was going next. What a competitor, Izzy Skane, Emily Harris, Chuck, like the talent that they have and put on display is remarkable. And for Emily Harris, Chuck, to stand on the stage yesterday while you guys are celebrating because she was the Golden Stick winner, the player that scored the most goals during the championship series, and with such class, I just thought, and I talked to Izzy Skane, and she said the same thing, like the opportunity to play, win or lose, like just to pick up your stick again and compete at such a high level, like you need that, right? It can't just be, okay, Boston was loaded, they steamroll everybody, the games are uncompetitive. Charlotte, every game was super competitive. We went into every fourth quarter and you did not know who was going to win the game. And I just thought your two battles with New York in particular, and I thought it was fitting. Boston, New York, like, everyone knows the history there in other sports. I just felt like you couldn't have asked for two better teams to cap off such a special week.
Absolutely. I mean, Emily Harris, Chuck, I was lucky enough to be led by her on the U.S. women's national box team this past fall where we won the gold medal against Canada. She was our captain and she was our rock. And I was just so inspired by her and her leadership, but also her play and the way she carries herself. What a phenomenal player, both indoor and outdoors, as you've seen. She can play any discipline. And she's got range from the outside. She's got the stick work and the creativity to get to the inside. And I was just so happy to see her up there on that stage. She's a tremendous teammate and a leader. And I think, she's left her mark in the world of lacrosse, but she is at the top of her game right now. So I cannot wait to watch her continue to dominate. And same with Izzy. I mean, an amazing leader and pioneer for our sport. And I'm lucky to be able to share the same field as those two because they're two of the best that our sport has. And, they're a nightmare to go up against because you don't know, who to slide to and where to be on the defensive end when you've got two players who can just shred a defense. But credit to our defense and Courtney Taylor and Rachel Hall, like I mentioned, who did an amazing job in both of those matchups against that highly potent offense on the New York Charging. But, I can't say enough about where our sport is now and the level of play at the professional level that is now the standard. And it's not just, being able to go out there and compete. It's doing it at that high level and being given the player experience that we were given by the WLL. It was a first-class event, first-class experience on our end of things. And we were treated like true professionals. And again, it has taken this, expectation and this level of success at the professional level to a new bar. And now that, we are here, it's only up. And we feel like we are now on this rocket ship, like you mentioned, to continue to grow this professional landscape.
I spoke with the captain of the California Palms, Ali Mastriani, and she said, I missed being coached because what you guys have to do individually to train, to keep in shape, you're doing that alone. You're doing that by yourself. You're going to the field and trying to self-improve. And now to be in a setting where you've got your peers and you have coaches and a league dedicated to giving you resources for really the first time since you left a college field, that is what is going to make this sport pop, because as dedicated as you are as individuals, you saw it this week. When you come together, the collective of all the star power and all the coaches and all the resources, it did elevate the game.
Absolutely. And we were so lucky at the Boston Guard to have, again, Lori DeLuca as our head coach and Tracy Sullivan as her assistant coach. We learned so much from them and we leaned on them a lot. And like Ali mentioned, that is so important in the game of lacrosse, especially in a sixes format at the professional level when you have so much talent on your team, but it's about piecing that together and coming together, like you mentioned. And we just had so much fun together as a group that it showed on the field. We loved each other so much. We learned in the low moments. We turned to each other and we faced the hard when it got hard, when we lost our scrimmage, 2 days prior to our opening game against New York. And we lost our opening game against the California Palms. And our coaches helped us turn and look at each other and say, what more do you need from us? And what more can I do for you? And that's what team sports is all about. So I've been very fortunate to be in the situation that I'm in, but you're always looking to gain an edge as a professional athlete. You're always looking to be better. And there were ways that we could have been better this past week. And so we're always going to assess that and go back to the drawing board. But like I mentioned, we're still, celebrating with these nets, and we're honored to bring a title to the city of Boston. And not to mention the PLL, the Cannons on the men's side brought a title back-to-back PLL Championship Series champions. Congrats to them. Congrats to Coach Holman. 2 titles in one day to the city of Boston is pretty good. So I think we need a duck boat tour or something to celebrate these two titles. But the city's excited, and it's an honor to be here.
Yeah, it was awesome to see the 2 Boston teams sweep the Champ Series. And you mentioned the training and the recovery and everything that goes into winning a championship. For the other 3 teams that were in this inaugural WLL Championship Series, they don't get the nets around their neck, and yet the training and the recovery is just as intense. And I loved what Maryland goalkeeper Kaylee Waters had to say after the Charm were eliminated after round robin play, because I think this sums it up best. Even if you don't get the celebration, Charlotte, this moment right here is what makes the whole week worth it. Take a listen.
I held my head walking out, but I saw these girls, heard these girls calling my name, asking for autographs. I don't know why I'm getting worked up, but, so I wanted to stay out there and do the autographs because that felt better than being in the locker room and thinking about possibly not having another game. The game just means a lot on and off the field. And I think this experience has really allowed myself and everyone to connect with what's out there. It's brought the crowd to us. It's really put it in our hands, the impact and influence that we have. So I really just thank everyone for being here, everyone who put this on. Win or lose, I'd rather have the opportunity to lose than not play at all. So thank you, Paul, Rachel, Mike, everyone for this, who made this possible.
I'd rather have the opportunity to lose than not play at all. And I think that sums up the first ever WLL Championship Series best.
Unbelievable. I mean, she said it perfectly. I don't know how in a moment like that she was able to put the most perfect words together to describe what this week has meant to all of us. I mean, stepping back and looking at the bigger picture, like we've mentioned, it's impacted us as players in ways that are really hard to put into words. So credit to Kaylee. She's one of the best leaders in this sport, and I've been very lucky to be teammates with her throughout the U.S. training process. And we won a gold medal together back in 2022. But she knows how to lift up a locker room, put her arms around her teammates in good times and in hard times, and allow them to realize, what they're doing. And I hope Kaylee realizes how impactful her words were right there to us as players and to the rest of the world of not just women's lacrosse, but lacrosse in general, because she touched on the way the sport can really impact you, whether you're a viewer, a casual fan, you don't know what the sport is, whether you're someone who's played it for decades and has poured your heart and soul into it. It can really touch you and affect you in ways that can be life-changing. And I think you saw that this week with the energy around this event, whether you were there in person or you were watching on TV or you were on the field competing or you were in the booth with you guys. I mean, there were just so many memories that were very special moments in time that I think will go down as some of the best ever in this sport. And I cannot wait to continue to build side by side with a leader like Kaylee Waters.
Yeah, I think what the Waters clip and then that picture of you with the girls just mobbing you after the game, like those 2 things I'll always take with me from the WLL. I know your recovery has been intense today and we've gone long. I've got a basketball game about to tip off. But I got to say, Charlotte, this has been so much fun to come on your channel and do a preview and now a recap. I say we keep this going. I mean, we've got Syracuse Northwestern next week. I think we should just keep hopping on and talking some college lacrosse as that season really ramps up.
I mean, I don't see why not. It's time for me to join you in the booth, isn't it?
Yeah, put down the stick, put on the headset. Let's go. That's a week from today, and we want to try and keep bringing you college content and really just create a place where we can hear from you, you can hear from us, and we can really keep this dialogue going throughout the season because it's been a lot of fun.
Let us know what you think. If you want to hear Jay and I continue to talk lax, maybe into the NCAA showdowns that are about to come about. But we'll be in the booth near you all very soon. And maybe we'll be back on here next week. Who knows? Thank you, Jay, for coming on. You are the best. Thank you for bringing everything you did to this first ever WLL event. It's definitely not the last.
No, it is not. It's been so much fun, Charlotte, and I appreciate you making me a part of such a special week and all the access you've given me and all your fans out there because it's been super special.
You're the best. I'll talk to you guys soon.